the funk back now. Oh, yeah. Please tell me that you can hear the funk. Bootzilla this morning. Wind me up. Wind me up. All right. We're live on YouTube. We are live on Twitch. We are live on IG. Let's see if we can't get a few more people to join. Hope everyone's having a terrific Sunday. Chilling, grilling. We got Causa. It's happening, big cause. Cool. Cool. Buster. Do we have the funk back this week? Can someone just give me a confirmation? We should. Hazed and confused. What's going on? Wind me up. Oh.
And at no extra expense comes this remote control unit. Oh yeah, I'm programmable.
All right.
One heck of a doll, baby mama. Bootzilla here. Made by the makers of funky things to play with. Trademark Funk Attack Incorporated, mama.
What about now? Because it should just be coming through as an audio track now. But anyway. Hey, we've got awareness. What's going on? I'll give you a wave. Be gone. Ah, well. I truly can't figure it out then. I'm doing it exactly the way I had it before.
All you gotta do is wind me up. Bootzilla here. I'm a rhinestone rock star monster of a doll, baby mama. A doll for all seasons. A family doll, baby mama. But I have been known to get into personal relationships. Oh, when that.
Yeah, they're a bonus, but they're part of what keeps me engaged as well. Hey, Flannel. I thought I'd solved all the technical problems for this week, but apparently not. Ozio. Alrighty. Well, I get music. No one else does. It's going to be another one of those. So, yeah. Had some tech issues with cameras and stuff last week, so it was hard to sort of leave the last one regarding Herb Superb and stuff up. So I figured I would go back over that a bit and then do some Q&A, and that'll probably do us for this installment. Hey, Awareness has got the tunes. Cool. All right. Let's see if we can, if I just do this. We'll do this. Crusty Crops. See if we've got output now. Fiddle around with the Instagram one. It appears we have it on YouTube, so maybe pop over there if you want to hear the funk. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Herb Superb. Have you heard the word? Don't you know about the herb? Well, everybody knows that the herb is superb. Or it could be if you're using the crop dressings, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, they're a collection of the finest and coolest amendments that we could find. And then we've experimented over a number of years with ratios to find, sort of the right ratios, because all these things Yeah, the dosages on them vary widely in terms of balancing effect or overdosing things. So, yeah, the Herb Superbs are a collection of all of those cool things in ratios we've found that work well for different phases, or in the case of the balance, like as a general purpose fertilizer. And then, of course, the Stone Age being a collection of the coolest raw mineral things that we could put together into an all-purpose trace mineral CalMag buffering package for your soil. So, but there's a bit of cool stuff that goes into making them. So it's not just getting a bunch of amendments and then just mixing them together. There's some other stuff in there that you get as an added side bonus that you wouldn't necessarily get if you just purchased all those ingredients separately and mixed them. Small indoor. Well, if we've got the funk back on YouTube, I don't know why we don't have it on IG. IG just mustn't be cool enough. So, in the case of the Herb Superb, there is a red, a green, and I should have a big bag next to me. I do this week. We're preparedness. We have maximum preparedness. I have the balance. I normally have a big bag of balance hanging around. It's the one that I use the most. So there are 3 flavors: red, green, and gold. So depending on what you're doing, you might choose either green, red, or the yellow. So you could look at it like green, go. Amber is kind of waiting, and then red is kind of, stop. So anyway, so there's a collection of different ingredients, and they each have, like, we've had them analyzed. They have different files for each one. They're not drastically different from each other, but they are definitely different. Like, you can see it on the report. Hello, Howie. And so, yeah, the Supergrass is a bit higher in nitrogen, has a little bit more potassium, and that tends to produce a lot of nice, strong growth. Balance is designed more for just general purpose, so it's not necessarily like a 10-10-10, but everything in there is pretty well balanced, thus the name. And so you can use that really for any phase. So if you're re-amending your soil, it's good for that. If you don't know kind of what one you should be applying, it's good for that. And it tends to be good for auto-flowering varieties as well that don't tend to have as long a cycle. And so it's hard to, say, get 3 separate top dressings into them. You might only have time for 2. And so the balance is kind of good that way. And then, of course, there is a mega yield one, so a more yield flowering focused one. More phosphorus, more potassium particularly. We didn't go crazy with the phosphorus in it, but there is more of it in there to support phase. And because a lot of that form is calcium phosphate, you get the added side benefit of a bunch of calcium coming along with that phosphorus. So you get calcium and phosphorus in the same package. So right at the time when plants can really use a good amount of calcium, it's there in abundance in the mega yield. We've done our best to micronize and sieve and all the rest of it, the ingredients, down to a pretty uniform consistency. There is a humate portion of it to it, which you will see if you're using it as like these little black balls. It's sort of slow release organic humates. So about 40% humic acid, and of that, I think about 20% is fulvic. So you're getting humic and fulvic acids as well. And then it is actually inoculated. And so we use some strains that are basically effective microorganism strains. So you get EM1s. And then we harvest our own lactobacillus and use that as well. So the ingredients are inoculated with stuff that is designed to break down the top dressings. So if you've used Herb Superb and noticed that it goes extremely fluffy, fuzzy pretty quickly, that's probably why, because it will get there anyway. even if it didn't have that inoculated portion, but having that in there really does speed up the whole process. So yeah, inoculated. I think lab testing said it was a 117 CFU per gram. So in a 1 kilo bag, you've got billions and billions and billions, gajillions, squillions even, like a Scrooge McDuck-sized swimming pool. But instead of coins, it's full of microbes, all in one bag. So yeah, and all 3 portions are inoculated. So yeah, they're ripper things to use in your garden. Available in 1 and 3 litre sizes at the moment. But yeah, so it's a bit on them. So basically, if you're looking to boost growth specifically, choose the green one. If you are midway through flower or late veg, or you don't know, choose balance. And if you are definitely in flower and you know you want a flowering boost, choose Mega Yield. And that'll sort of answer most of your questions on that. It's hard to overdo them. It can be done. Don't cake it on so thick that the soil can't breathe. But yeah, they're not ridiculously high in NPK either. So it's like you're going to burn the hell out of stuff with it. And a lot of it is slow release because it is organic. So, g'day, Otto. And then we have an auxiliary mineral supplement, which is the Stone Age. It's got minerals back from the Stone Age. Actually, Stone Age is a nod to, that's around the time we first started to use digging implements. Oh, we got the atomic dog. Nice. Yeah, man, I'm enjoying it too, Otto. Thanks, man. Appreciate you giving me some props on the drip. Yeah, so we've got the Stone Age. It has our in-house, specially made oyster lime. So we don't just get shells and grind them up. It's a process, because obviously what comes with stuff that comes out of the ocean is salt. And so, you know, there are benefits to having, you can look at KNF inputs. There's fermented seawater is a trace mineral input for that. So it's not like having it in there is an entirely bad thing. But at the same time, you have to balance sodium with other cations, because otherwise the plant will want to take it up over other things, and thus will become sodium toxic. So it's a process we've kind of worked on over, it'll probably be more than 5 years, 6 years, with trying to make the calcium level up enough, make its effectivity as a liming agent as effective as it can be, and also get the sodium down as low as we can. So we've done pretty well with it. We're pretty happy with it. So that's in there. We've got some A-grade gypsum in there. We've got wollastonite, which is calcium silicate, which is an interesting material because it is a slightly reactive calcium source that brings along silica with it. So, yeah, you are getting silica into your soil. There's montmorillonite, which is your calcium bentonite, which is great for cation exchange capacity, CEC. Dank Den, what's going on, dude? The best in the West. If you can't hear the tunes on Instagram, you'll have to go over to YouTube. You know what it could actually be? Maybe the audio isn't actually coming out of the Rodecaster and into the phone. That could be what it is, because it could be the phone's just sort of getting the audio that I'm not what's coming through here. Yeah. Which I'm not sure why it would be doing that, but anyway. We've got langbeinite in there, which is another, it's a potassium source that brings magnesium along with it. So sold as showenite or sulpomag, a few different things. It's all the same thing. It's potassium. So you can think of it like potash with magnesium sulfate attached to it. We've got arcanite, which is just potassium sulfate, so the natural form. We've got magnesite, which is a carbon form of magnesium. So it's actually a liming agent, but it's not a calcium one. It is a magnesium one. So you're probably familiar with ag lime. That's calcium carbonate predominantly. And then you've got dolomite lime, which is calcium magnesium carbonate. So it's got magnesium in there. Well, magnesium carbonate is just magnesium carbonate. So it's an interesting material. Sometimes you may want to buffer your soil, but you've got ample amounts of calcium in there and a lack of magnesium. And that's where it can be a good ingredient for that, because you will get the buffering from it, but you aren't adding more calcium, you're adding magnesium. In the loop. No, he's in the loop. We're here. Lost my mic for a second. What else? We've got Kesiorite, which is the slow release monohydrate form of magnesium sulfate. So you... Thanks, man. I think we've still got no tunes, though, on the Instagram in the loop. I'm not quite sure. I've got the microphone and everything all plugged in, and it's eluding us. But we've got tunes over on the YouTube. So if you want to catch that. That was Atomic Dog. Oh, now we've got the roller coaster. Nice. Yeah, so you might not be aware, but magnesium sulfate comes in a couple of forms. So you're probably more familiar with the heptahydrate form, which is, yeah, I am. I'm going over Stone Age at the moment. Yeah, I did a bit of a breakthrough on, a breakdown on the Herbs of Herbs just previously, but when I'm done rapping about Stone Age, we can go back over those if you like. So anyway, yeah, you'd probably be more familiar with the form of magnesium sulfate that's sold at pharmacies, various garden centers, things like that, which is the soluble form. So that's the heptahydrate form, hydrate, soluble. It also comes in a monohydrate form. So because it comes in a monohydrate form, that form is slow release in the soil. So that one sticks around for longer. So you get the magnesium, you get the sulfur, but it's not just sort of rinsed through the soil. So good for adding a bit of magnesium. Sulfur for flavor. Phosphorite, which is natural rock phosphate. Yeah, man. Everyone, just go over to the YouTube. It's the party over here. We got a party going on over here. Yeah, so phosphorite. So it's, in other words, it's rock phosphate. The couple of forms we use are both oceanic deposits. One is what they call an activated rock phosphate. So it's had a bacteria and a couple of other things added to it to kind of aid in the liberation of phosphorus from rock phosphate, because that's one of those things. It does have technically a lot of phosphorus in it, but it is very, very, very slow release. So that's where that is a bonus, because you can put it in the soil without it affecting mycorrhizal fungi like, say, superphosphate or monopotassium phosphate or things like that would. But yeah, it's the downfall is that you may not get enough P uptake. So we've found that these couple of ones work quite well. We use a little bit of high P guano in the Herbs of Herbs, and it all seems to work together quite well. We certainly get a lot of microbe growth in the soil. Yeah, we have some diatomite in there, so another silica source. There's palagonite in there, which is a high paramagnetic basalt, but it's a kind of hydrated basalt, so it overflowed into what I believe is a lake bed, and that super cooled it, and so it's very vesicled, but it's slightly different to what you get from something like the New England tableland basalt that we use. So it has an even higher paramagnetic value than what the palagonite does. it's a harder material basically. So we micronize it down as far as we can to make sure that it's kind of available as quickly as it can be. But we found that the two of those, their trace mineral profiles overlapped very, very well. And then we've got some azomite in there. So a little bit of Utah in each bag of Stone Age. Everyone probably knows about azomite. We don't use a huge amount of it because it is a calcium aluminosilicate material. So you get calcium, you get all the trace minerals that come along with it, but you also get aluminium. So this normally isn't a problem unless your pH level of your soil gets low enough to actually make that available. But that's where, you know, say if you did all your trace mineral portion as azomite, you would have a lot of aluminium getting added along with that, just due to the nature of the material. So a bit is good though, and it provides minerals that are not easily available elsewhere. And there's some zeolite in there, so we have some micronized zeolite for a bit of nutrient storage, detoxification, leonardite and lignite, so again your humates, elemental sulfur, orthoclase, which is a kind of it's a potassium feldspar basically. So a lot of your soil is contains these elements outside, and it contains potassium oxide and various things like that. Then we have shell calcium. So we have the oyster, but we also have calcium that we get from just ground up shells. So we, you know, take shells and grind them up basically. J every day. J all day, every day. Yeah, so a swathe, an entire bag full, a venerable sack full, a grip of minerals in each bag. And yeah, you can use that alongside your Herb Superb top dressings, or particularly when rebuilding or building a soil from scratch. So Balance and Stone Age make a very good combo for that. You just mix those together into your, we've got directions on the package, and we also have that video up. At your chosen, we go by soil volume rather than by weight, because some of these materials do vary in weight, but they don't vary in volume as much, if that makes sense. So rather than going by weight, we've just found that, you know, a volume to soil mix ratio works well. So yeah, whether you are rebuilding a soil or building one from scratch, Stone Age and Herb Superb Balance are really good. Or you can even do what some people like Dr. Jimbo Jones and other ones are doing, where you use the balance as your predominant nutrient, and then you add a portion of either supergrass or mega yield to that, to create sort of an augmented profile. And that would say give you a good, strong, mostly baseline balanced thing. But say if you had plants that were going to be mother plants, you're going to be vegging for a long time, you would have a bit more nitrogen available. And correspondingly, if you had plants that you knew were going into flower, you could have a soil that's basically got that stuff built into it, rather than you having to apply it later. So it's fairly modular. You can kind of fiddle around a bit with the ratios and kind of find what works well for your particular scenario. You won't always need. We separated the minerals into the Stone Age because basically if you mix them all together, all the Herb Superb ingredients and the Stone Age ingredients in the same bag, and then you close it, the inherent moisture level of a lot of those minerals is going to set off everything in the Herb Superb. So you can't store it. And it also is a case of the Herb Superbs are quite balanced by themselves, and so you don't always need everything that's in the Stone Age, especially if you're using something like Grow Dirt Full Spec, where it's already heavily amended to begin with. So yeah, we kind of built it as sort of there's a 1 and a 2 part, but it's kind of a modular feeding program. All of them are brewable, so you can add them to a brew. If you picked up one of either the Super Scoop or the Wake and Shake Redux new retro classic edition, they come with a brew bag, so you can actually like measure it out and throw it in the brew bag and brew it. But yeah, all brewable, so you can utilize them that way as well. You'll be able to make some nice nutrient teas with them. Little bits of joyness. How you going? And then you can also pre-activate them, so they're already inoculated, but then you can take that one step further and do the pre-activation technique that we've talked about, where you take the top dressings, mix those with compost, and allow that to kind of do its thing for about 7 to 10 days before using it. So you're sort of using it at max levels of fluffiness. I'll see if I've got the picture of the particular leaf. There we go. Like that. That's a pick courtesy of Aussie Autos. You can feed it to your soil when it looks like that. So it's already a week to 10 days ahead of the breakdown. And it's been allowed to do its thing. So yeah, pre-activated. So you can see you can start to paint a bigger picture here, where you start combining all these techniques along with the different solubles and the microbes, right? And you can see how you can quite effectively supercharge your soil without having to resort to adding nutrient salts. You can just do that with all the amendments. It's the kind of the trick is in how you use those. You certainly can just get Herbs Superb and just throw it on the pot. Bob's your uncle, or whatever. But these extra techniques that we're talking about either speed up the breakdown or facilitate a bigger, faster, stronger plant. And so it's like a lot of things in life, you know, sometimes more effort directed in the right way equals more output. Other times, not so much. I know a lot of people have tried out the pre-activation technique and just find it a convenient way to do their top dressing. I'm going to tear the roof off with this one. Yeah, so I probably should do a tutorial on how to actually do that, because people get confused on the ratios, and I don't blame them. But you can use soil, any carbon and microbe source. So you can use soil, as long as it's good soil. Compost, as long as it's good compost. Castings, as long as they're good castings. You get the picture. And then you just add your top dressings to that and allow it to break down. So I normally use, you know, for say if I'm doing 3 cups of compost, I'll put about a cup and a half, maybe of Herbs Superb in that. It's plenty. Grow Green Daddy, how you going? And then typically with top dressing and combining the Herbs Superb and Stone Age, so we'll go about a 3-to-1 ratio. So we've worked that out over time with people. Originally, I like a 1-to-1, but then I tend to do it less frequently. A lot of people were finding that 3-to-1, so 3 parts Herbs Superb to 1 part Stone Age works quite well. So, yeah, for every 125 mils, I think it works out about 50 mils Stone Age. Bro, Green Daddy, what's going on, dude? And Tia, what's going on? That's a great way to do it, yeah. So, I mean, it's a great way to recycle your carbon, recycle your nutrients. You kind of paid for those nutrients to begin with, right? You've got stuff, put it in the soil, plant came out of soil. What are you going to do with it now? So composting / feeding that to worms and then using the worm castings back in your soil again, that's just good business right there. It's smart farming. And you'll like, I've got some worm stuff going on. And, you know, like I'll feed them alfalfa and the oyster lime and things like that. So they do love a bit of that as well. A few people on here, after they brew their Herbs Superb nutrient teas, you'll have a lot of stuff left over in there. You don't chuck that away. You just put that like in your worm farm, or you can top dress some plants with it. You can compost it. But worms typically love the stuff. They'll get all up and through that stuff. and then they'll turn that into castings. Boom. Next rear men throw that through the soil. Good home cooking right there. And yeah, shout outs to Alpha Mulch as a top dressing over the top of your top dressing. If you're not mulching, you're kind of missing out, because then the top surface of your soil becomes the mulch. So you can't get away with the surface of that media is going to be exposed to the elements, right? So it's going to be exposed to light, it's going to be exposed to the environmental conditions of the room. And so in lieu of a mulch layer, the top of the soil effectively becomes that layer. And given that that's where both a lot of the biological activity is happening, certainly the earliest stuff then migrates down and gets fed to the more higher advanced forms, it starts there. And that's where a lot of your productive feeder roots are. So not mulching that layer, like I get it, it's hard to sometimes kind of tell what you're doing with watering, things like that. But you are kind of missing out. It's, it helps your top dressings break down better. It keeps the surface of the soil more stable in temperature, really facilitates breakdown. It protects your surface feeder roots. There's many, many, many advantages. Now, you don't have to use alpha mulch. Alpha mulch is sick as, sick as, yeah, there you go. Ha ha. but at the same time, like, if you're mulching half a hillside, you probably can't do that. But just pick something clean, so pick something that's not had a bunch of chemicals sprayed all over it, or that's loaded with bugs. Search around a little bit. Go and really have a look at the bales of whatever you're going to intend to use before you go and spread them everywhere and then go, oh, I just brought a pest or a pathogen into my area now. We want the funk. You gotta pop the funk. Yes, the tea solids. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, so because they're not soluble ingredients, so you'll solubilize a certain amount of them. Really, what I think happens with a nutrient tea is that you are the finest of all the particulate matter that's in, say, the herb superb, then ends up kind of just floating around in the water in there. And then because that material is all light enough to float and then therefore very small in micron, it's very quick to break down in the soil. So the effect is very quick. So especially if you have microbes in there, you brew up a bunch of microbes, a bunch of fine material, that's kind of all stuff that they like to eat. When you add it to the soil, it breaks down real fast. Aussie Autos, how you going, dude? Old silage. Look, there's a whole mess of different things that you can use for mulch. Like I use peanut shell in the crushed peanut shell in the Gorilla soil, and so I experimented last year with or last season with using peanut shell as a mulch. Worked great. So yeah, but I mean it's clean. It has a bit of nitrogen in it, various advantages, but some people use rice hulls. They like that. It's really about what's kind of economical and clean. So prioritize cleanliness over cost, and then prioritize cost over other things, I guess. If you're inside and you're doing a bunch of plants, the alpha mulch doesn't work out that expensive, and you can kind of reuse it for a long time. The hemp stalk portion of it takes a long time to break down. And so some people, particularly innovative ones like Dankden, recharging their alpha mulch. So they'll get some alfalfa meal and a bit of diatomite and just kind of mix that back through it again and kind of rejuvenate or reincarnate the mulch. But it lasts a while and it breaks down to, it's made of hemp. So it breaks down to, it's a soft wood, but it takes a while to break down. But once it breaks down, it doesn't hurt anything. I like it. Hey, Taj. Hola. Oh, we oh. What have we got there? I want some awareness there. That's actually a terrific tip there. So one there from Awareness on the YouTube is that's actually really, really smart. So he measures the in a closed room scenario, that'd be terrific. Measures the amount of humidity in literage that the humidifier has taken out, and then bases the watering on that, which makes total sense. Yeah, and I think also, as Dankden's saying there too, you would want this stuff to be dry. Yeah, you don't want to be using fresh green material. There's a bunch of stuff that's going to come out of that that's phytotoxic before it becomes good to use. One there for Taj. The best one in our collection to use for outdoors is the Gorilla Grow Dirt. It is engineered for that. It's engineered for outdoor growers. It's a fully sick blend for you. Oh, we go. Yeah, so you kind of be a bit careful when you're selecting your mulch material. Don't use green materials or not very much of them. And yeah, pick something that's not loaded with pests. No worries, Taj. Yeah, Gorilla Grow Dirt, GGD. Not Grow Green Daddy. Yeah, so the fresh lawn clippings is like something you'd keep to a low level. Preferably, you would probably compost that before you use it, because yeah, you'll get nitrogen conversion and drawdown and all that sort of stuff while that kind of rapid breakdown of the grass clippings is going on. It does break down really quick though, because grass is high in nitrogen, so you can make a nice sort of a compost mulch that way. You don't have to let it break down to the point where it goes black and all the rest of it, but you break it down mostly and kind of do it that way. If you've used that Who Flung Dung stuff, it's kind of like that. They're kind of just like partially decomposing it with some chicken manure. It's kind of a similar scenario. But the point is, cover your dirt. Cover your dirt. It does a lot better if it's covered. Frosty green trees. Yeah, so plants don't like to have other plants compete with them. And so there's a certain element of plants that's phytotoxic. So like eucalyptus tannins, for instance, or pine tree tannins. You can use those effectively as a herbicide, because they're actually toxic to other plants around them. So that's why where the bark is and all that sort of stuff. It's not just nutrient competition. It's actually there's a phytotoxic thing going on that's kind of preventing other stuff from competing with that vegetation. And so that's where you got to watch. Like people will sometimes put a bunch of that fresh, like they'll go and they'll remove a tree and chip it all up. And then people will immediately put that on their garden and their plants. Like half the time it'll kill things. But that's because it's loaded with a bunch of phytotoxic stuff that hasn't had a chance to be neutralized through a composting process or something. So it's not that that material is useless. It's just that you shouldn't put it on your garden when it's fresh like that. Yeah, so, and certain plants are more sensitive to that than other ones are. Something that's probably from a deep undercover of a jungle somewhere where it's surrounded by that's probably going to be less susceptible to it than you know, a highly bred rose plant from a greenhouse. I'm about to go, and then you'll know the Sly Stone. Oh yeah. You'll never be in doubt. That's what it's all about. You can't take me for granted and smile. Yes, so the Herb Superb, the Stone Age. I suppose we've Token. We've talked about the high power a little bit, but if anyone's got any questions on our super awesome, super cool compost, hit us up. And they're from awareness on the tubes. Thoughts on normally you're only that's from time. Thank you, time. Thoughts on defoliated leaves straight onto the soil mulch. Yeah, it's not really a bad thing, with the caveat that if your leaves have any diseases, don't do it. Do something else with them, preferably just get them out of there, because you don't want to be recycling that stuff. And normally if you're defoliating, you're not removing that much. Some people go a bit brutal with it, but I'd argue that the defoliation is going to be worse for your plants in that instance than what using it as a mulch is. But it does achieve, they're getting the carbon back into and the nutrients back into the soil in an effective manner. So I'm not against it. It's just that if you had like powdery mildew and mites, I wouldn't be doing it, because then you're just recycling that stuff. You're better off to remove that bag, get that out of there. That's just good pest management. But yeah, apart from that, no, there's no real issue with it, man. Just don't have like a 4-inch thick layer of defoliated leaves in there and you'll probably be fine. But it's a bit like spinach in that way, where it starts out looking like that. Like you throw 3/4 of a bag of spinach in the pan, and then 10 seconds later you look in there and there's about 3 spinach leaves. It's like, what's going on? Damn gnomes come in and stole all my damn spinach. Spinach gnomes with 4 arms like Popeye, stealing spinach. We got better cones and gardens. Cool. There you go, bro. Yeah, so it kind of shrinks up a little bit. But the plant is normally not toxic to itself. So that's the good thing. Oh, little bits of joyness. You gotta stay out of my brain, dude. Yeah, I got some shit for y'all. I'll have some shit for y'all soon. But I'm not talking about that today, because I don't want to. If you want to get into the super secret test crew, get up in my DMs. There's an inner circle. Soon. Hang on, where is it? Soon. Beautiful. Bit of I'll Stay from Funkadelic. Because we're going to stay here and hang around and answer some questions right now. All right. So we'll get to some Q&A. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on in the garden? What can I help you with? What do you want to ask me some questions about? I'm curious. Awareness. No worries, dude. That's for a homemade HPO lab. You're welcome. Very welcome. In fact, the non-brown sugar version of that is what we use partially in the inoculation of the herb that we were talking about earlier. So yeah, from the air around here. What's the quickest way to fix overgrowth from re-vegging? Well, it's kind of one of those things where the hormone profile of the plant is what's making it do it. So it's more just a time frame thing. Some plants, there's one there. Yeah, actually, that's a good tip. Just give it a Grow Green Daddy, and he'll veg it for a year or two for you. He'll sort all that stuff out. King Veg Daddy with the maximum veg skills. But he's into flower now. Like he's in sips and all that sort of stuff. I need to not give him so much shit. But yeah. He will sort you out on that. But yeah, so normally the hormone profile just takes a while to figure itself out. So depending how deep into flowering or whatever the plants went, and the vigor of the strain normally too, depends on how quick that turnaround is. You can do stuff like, something like Aquamarine Grow. And, so ready available aminos there, nitrogen, that kind of stuff, and stuff like the supergrass, again, so you get more of that kind of nitrogen heavy stuff, can kind of push the growth in that direction. So stuff that's going to boost the vegetative growth side of it is going to help that kind of turnaround. But even still, it's kind of just hanging out until they just decide to go back into that mode again. And then normally once they're in that mode, they freak out for a little while, and then boom, they're fine. But it could be, a week. It might be a couple of weeks. It might be a month. It can be longer. Some varieties take bloody forever to turn back around again, and some don't turn back around at all. So yeah, it's really your mileage may vary. We got Here We Grow Matty. What's going on, dude? Here We Grow Matty from Victoria. The dopest dirt dealer in the south. Yeah, so a little bit of a thing, and as always, you try the mojo that. It won't do any harm. But yeah, normally I've just found it's a time situation. And 24 hours of light too, because that'll probably come up. Doesn't seem to make it happen any faster. So it's just set it on like your standard 18 to 20 at the most, and just let it do its thing. Until such time that it turns back around again. It does this thing, the phone, where it won't let me scroll down to the bottom of the screen, and it's so annoying. And then when I touch it too much, it like brings up something else that I nearly touch. It's robots just having a laugh. Time tins, hell yeah. Just crack open a tin of time, you reckon? Boom, 3 weeks. Boom, 4 weeks. They'd be very popular among the rental market people. It's like, what? There's an inspection. Crack open a time tin. Yeah, we're still working on that. That's soon with a lot of O's. Like the longer the wait period, the more O's are between the S and the N. So some projects you've noticed the soon keeps getting longer, and then there's other ones where the soon's actually like, I didn't even know you were doing that. It just came out. Yeah, sneak some of them up on you. And other ones I'll like hint at it for ages, and then bam. You guys are awesome. A lot of people have picked up the Super Scoops, so they're making their way out there into the world. People finding them handy. No longer do you have to steal your spouse's kitchen scales and get aquamarine all over them and then get roused on. You can elevate yourself out of that with a Super Scoop. We've got a few of them left, and then we will have to do a restock. Yeah, the scoops are a lot of fun. Anything that makes my life easier when I'm using my own stuff, I figure could be of benefit to other people using that same stuff. Thus the Super Scoop. And yeah, the bags are cool, Yeah, I like them a lot. And Bailey, what's going on? Oh yeah, I love the new shakers. Like, it's the same design as the old one, but I like the new retro classic design. Hey, one there from Awareness on the YouTube about the scoop as well. Yeah, the scoop's a lot of fun. That's the only bummer with a dry soluble product is that, it's a little bit of a two-stage process. But, scoop to shaker, shaker to watering can, man, pretty streamlined. It's not that hard. Come on now. And, like half the time you mix up our stuff and it looks like what you buy from other people when you're meant to dilute that down further. Like our stuff mixed up looks like other people's concentrates. So yeah, you can stretch that stuff out a long way. But it also means that you're getting a mad effective dose of things. So in terms of like cytokines and all those lovely growth factors that are in something like the Ocean Potion. So it's not just like, a couple of percent of the ingredients in there. It's a cylinder of active stuff, or a tin full of active stuff, or a foily full of active stuff, depending on the sizing that you buy. So yeah, you're getting closer to what, say if they tested this particular growth factor from kelp in a scientific experiment, you know, they would have tested it at an effective dosage, right? So it's not just like kind of ticking the box saying that it's in there. If it's in there at such a level where it's so low that the plant's not even going to get any benefit from it, that's good for economy if you're manufacturing it, but it's not good for effectivity if you're using it. So, yeah, you're delivering an effective dose of the ingredients that are in the product, and therefore that's why I think they work quite effectively. And the best way we've found to do that is to do them as wherever possible. When it can be done as something that's a dry soluble product, that's the way we prefer to do it. You know, it has drawbacks, like, you know, for instance, with the Green Supreme, very complex formula. And some of the early ones suffered with a caking issue that it actually took me to go and consult with a formulation expert to go, like, why can you mess up this mess that I made? And they went, oh, yeah, you're doing it completely wrong. Oh, okay, cool. Well, I had no problem with it storage at the house. But out in the real world, you know, like it had some issues with caking together. So we've managed to fix that. We could have gone the route of making that into a liquid product, but then it wouldn't have delivered the same dose per application. So when you're trying to pack, if you look at the amount of ingredients that are on the back of it there, to pack all that into the watering can and then feed that to your plants with just a couple of scoops is no small feat. And to do that when it's heavily diluted in water, you would have to use 20, 40, 50 mils of the stuff. It's just, if you've got a 100-litre tank, you're going to burn through it real quick. Fogarts, what's going on, dude? So yeah, I'm not above, like, in fact, that's mostly what I'll do because I only know what I know and can do what I can do. And so I will consult with people that know more than me. And allow them to kind of, you know, do their thing. You know, so, for instance, with web stuff, I don't know enough about that. I got a dude, Umbra, who is a whiz with that stuff. So, you know, the credit to the site all belongs to him. Any matter, as much as I'd love to take all the credit for it, I can't, because there is people like microbiologists help me with the enzyme fungi packet, and then an enzyme people help me with the enzyme portion of it. And then, you know, yeah, there's some of my flair in there as well, but it is a collaborative kind of a thing going on. And so with something like Green Supreme, there was 3 options, you know: stop making it, which is a shame, turn it into a liquid thing and then it's not as effective anymore, or do some kind of wizardry with the formulation to kind of make it so that it doesn't have this issue where it wants to be so hygroscopic that it cakes. Back 9 Bandit, what's going on? And from those lessons we learnt, and when we did Aquamarine and Ocean Potion, we've endeavoured to try and make those, you know, as free from that as we can. Aquamarine can sometimes clump, but, you know, I generally find that it breaks up pretty easy. It's got to be exposed to a lot of humid air before it'll kind of clump up too bad. An Ocean Potion, I find, doesn't tend to clump at all. You'll generally tend to find that dry formulations of amino stuff tend to clump together pretty bad. Green Supreme's got aminos, fulvic acid, and saponins in it, so there's multiple vectors there for it wanting to take on moisture from the air and pull it into the formula. They're Egans. And in fact, I try and control the air when Green Supreme is made, so even the air surrounding it when it is being made is at a controlled level, so the actual powder itself is all at a low level. It's a complex process, but it's one of the things that I use the most. Like I use Green Supreme the most, so you got to figure that out. Got to figure that out. What do I want? Because as much as I love the roller coaster, this is the one that I want. That one. Yeah. All right. So yeah, any more questionnaire?
The lady is bad.
What do you need to know? What do you know? What can you tell me? Maybe I'll start asking you guys questions, eh? Flip the script on you. What are you going to do then? What are you going to do then?
She could do the bump. The kid said on the real side of things, a person you got too much rump to bump.
Ooh.
Your sexy body.
Got to find something good as a ride out too, you know. This is a pretty good one though. Yeah, that'll work. Question: how much Green Supreme? The answer is yes. Yeah, it's kind of like that with Mojo too. It's kind of like, should I Mojo? Yes. How much Mojo? Yes. Good. Yeah, hard to do wrong with the Mojo or with the Green Supreme. You'd have to go crazy with that stuff. Like, I've used ridiculous amounts of it. The water comes out. The water comes out dark at different times, and it never hurts anything. It can't. This is yes, we've run a bit of their stuff. Came out rather nice. The test crew has run some of that.
He was definitely uncool, trying to get some hat. But she came right back.
That's one thing I keep forgetting to order, you know, is a new end for the mic. I foil taped it back on, and I was just like, good, out of my mind. And then every time I get on here, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it's still taped on there. There you go. Yeah, see, so feedback from people in comments there, as always. There's a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of their stuff gets around, man. So, yeah, I haven't tried every single little thing, but what I have tried was quite nice. Foilies. All about the foilies. Foily life. That's actually often what I'll steal from a shed for my own purposes. Be like, oh, someone's got a pocket full of foilies. I hope Cody doesn't find out. I'm not fucking serious. Frowning and stuff. I mean, did you take some of my foilies? Did you take foilies out of the shed and take them home? No. I didn't take any of your foilies, man. Pocket full of foilies. What he doesn't know won't hurt him. And you just drive along in your car, just like free spin them out the window to people. Every time a Mojo packet hits somebody, they just turn psychedelic colours. Blows people's wigs off. You're missing out if you're not on the YouTube. Instagram won't let us play the sound. Just saying. We've had a few more people join over there too, which we appreciate. So I don't quite have the numbers over there as what we do on the gram, but it's a different media. And I don't post as much on there, so that could be a lot of it as well. But, you know, maybe if yous were over there more, I would post more. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it's going to be today. It's going to be Funkadelic. None of you would have heard that before. That'll be so strange to everybody's ears. Yeah, man. I'm already on there, dude. I'm on OnlyFans. I'm on everywhere. You know. Subscribe to the OnlyFans for all the juicy stuff that I can't get away with on Instagram and all that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a free subscribe. How many people do you know go verified OnlyFans? It's a free sub. Just do it. Just do it. And when your spouse asks you what's going on with that, tell them to mind their damn business. It's a thing that I like to do, and you can't shame me about it. It's a thing that I like to watch. I'm an adult. I'm a consenting adult. And this is what I would like to watch, all right? And that's the end of the discussion. And then we'll be over there and we'll talk dirt and stuff, you know? Put down the weeds on it. brand new flavor in your ears. I've had nothing but flavor in my ears this whole more time. The whole time I've had the funk. I'm chilling in my spot here, you know, got my sunglasses on because I had a ripping migraine headache all night. Kept me up all night, made me feel like absolutely wretched. But now I feel goddamn great because I don't have it anymore. Know what I'm saying? Maximum appreciation. And no potato cam on Instagram, but we also have no funk on Instagram, you see? That's the thing. Instagram is becoming a very unfunky platform. So you need to spread the roots out to other areas. Patrick, what's going on, dude? Oh, yeah. Also, you sent me a photo of the light, the HLG light, maximum waka wakas to the light. Will be a nice update. We've been running a high par. So you don't want to itch your face on lives and things like that because people are like, you're picking your nose. And it's like, no, I'm itchy. I shaved this morning, you know, and it was like, trying to be on here looking good for you all. My face ends up itchy. Yeah, we've used one of the high pass Spectras. There was a run of some hard time genetic stuff, and yeah, very impressive. Once we kind of figured out how to dial that in, it's certainly very, very powerful. Funkadelic. This is going to be the ride out for today. We are going to ride out on Funkadelic. Parliament. I think it's 1977. Nice and retro there. Yes, 77. Doing good, Patrick. Doing good. We're chilling. Gonna hang around, and then we're gonna hang around, answer a couple more questions, and I'm gonna get the hell out of here and do some other things and bother some people. Just go and knock on some random doors and be like, "Hey, how you doing? You want some dirt? What are you doing? What are you doing? You gardening? Why aren't you gardening? You want some dirt?" They're like, "Who are you? Where did you come from?" It's like, I just over there. I figured come over and see what you're up to. Just chilling. Just done a live, you know, hanging out. Watch it. Hey, Richie. Yeah, there is. Some people have been using that for a while, but you can use antimatter as a clone dip. So dip the end of your clone into it like it was a rooting powder, and that effectively works that way. And Green Supreme as a foliar in cloning process works to minimize stress, and the SAR salicylic component of the Green Supreme helps to speed up root development. So yeah, those two uses a combos quite effectively. Bro Green Daddy uses that one, I know that much, for his perpetual veg cycle cloning techniques, and other people too. And you can actually combine Superstarter with the antimatter and the Green Supreme for a nice all organic cloning package without any PGRs. What's going on, Player One Up? Yeah, it works. The theory being that the forms of trike in the antimatter are so aggressive they don't allow other stuff to get in there and colonize the root stem before callousing can happen. And then having those there, which have a root growth promotion effect, as soon as callousing does happen and you get like a little root nodule start to form, bang, it tends to explode out of there. And yeah, Green Supreme used as a foliar is great. You can let the res draw down a bit, Bro Green Daddy, so you don't have to keep it topped up to the maximum level all the time, but try not to let it run out completely if you can avoid it, because you want the soil, the sub-irrigated system works best if it's constantly drawing that way. If it gets dry, it can be hard to kind of start that process all over again. So yeah, you can let it drop, but don't let it run out. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, you haven't filled it at all? Oh, well, yeah, get some water in there, bro. Today. There you go. I would have thought you would have done that already. Do it today. Yeah, but you'll find that with sub-irrigated anyway, that it's going to be, yeah, we're going to find out some stuff here. I have a feeling you've been keeping your plants a bit dry sometimes. Put some in the res. Do it. It won't know that it can tap into that unless you start putting it in there, right? So do that. Yeah, someone got mad at me one time because they bought stuff and then they put their plant in the room and then they didn't water it. You know, like it didn't grow very well. And I was like, well, you got to add water. Like I can't put all the water in the bag too. Just way too much for a state. Way too much. It would be too heavy to put all the water in the bag. It'd be soggy. There's a million reasons why. Okay, you got to do that. You got to add the water. I can't do that for you. And you need to stop sending me messages about the Grow H2O too. That was a joke. I'm not actually selling canned water or anything like that. You keep messaging me about it, maybe I will. But it was a joke. It's a joke. Just dusting the soil with Green Supreme and then like hoping for like the atmospheric moisture to just like draw it down and into there. I'm not sure how effectively that's going to work, bro, but you know, you do you. Report back to me with it. Hopefully you don't end up with just like a thick green crust on top of the soil. Some people do that with antimatter though, and it actually works quite well. So people that are wanting to use antimatter but they can't water through as often as they would like because they're using auto pots or they're using sub-irrigated systems, they'll scatter it on the soil surface and it works its way in. That's the go, Gregory. That's effective watering right there. Just set the turn the exhaust fan off, turn your inlet fan off, set the humidifier to 95% or whatever its maximum output is, and then just let it just condensate in there. Just a big old sweat lodge. No transpiration, just locked in there. No movement at all. How was your fun? Tell it, people. How was your fun? Intellect, people. All right. Good questions, though. But I feel like you knew the answer to that one deep down. You can stop vegging. Look, here's the thing. You can stop doing it anytime you want. You just have to go, today is the day. I'm not going to veg anymore. Today, all my timers will be set to 12:12. There's no timer in my house that will even be able to be set to anything longer than 12:12. From now on, I am the 12:12 dude. And you just repeat that mantra and go around and action that. So go around, change all your timers, and then you've stopped. You're not that dude anymore, man. But only you can do that. None of us can do that for you. Veg through flower, yeah. Get halfway through flower and turn them back to veg because you miss the phase. You're like, oh no, it's gonna be over soon. Oh no, just re-veg. How good are some of the vegging intervention? Yeah, that's right. Hey man, we're all gonna have that friend every so often. That's being a true friend. It's like, now listen, we're gonna talk about this situation you got going on. It's like there's leaves poking out of the doors. You're running out of water all the time. Like I've looked at your order history, man. You're going through so much aquamarine grow. We got to talk about this situation, man. Come on now. No, I can stop vegging anytime I want. It's like, I don't know that you can, dude. I don't know that you can. Send me your timers. I'm going to set them. I'm going to pull out all the buttons on them so you can't change them back. I'm going to duct tape over the screen, and I'll send it back to you. Yeah, man. Just every time you look at the timer and you think, oh, I should drop it down slow. Don't. Just put it on 12:12. Let's do it. And then go, no, Gary, no. No, Gary, no. That one. Every time you go to do it. The first 2 weeks are the hardest. And then once you get through that stretch phase, you're good. Yeah.
This has been a test.
No, Gary. That's the one. Thank you.
Once again, the pleasure has been rescued with the aid of the phone.
You should. You should. You should. Because that gives you a chance to veg some more things, right? So that'll feed the habit while you're trying to like kick it on this other stuff. Yeah. Just message me. Just be like, oh, bro, need a sponsor. I'm looking at, they've been getting 12 hours of darkness for the last 14 days now, and I'm feeling it. Like, listen, dude, it's all good. We all go through a bit of darkness every so often. You'll be right, mate. You're a champion. You can do this. Old school Kiwi. What's going on, dude? Awareness. Okay, so he's flipping today. 24 hours of darkness. Speeding up the production of florigen in your plants for a less stretchy, quicker transition to flowers. So it works well with some varieties. Yeah, man. I mean, you outed yourself, but see, generally that's what happens, right? When you really need help, you kind of start asking for it, even if you don't know how. Yeah, much love, man. It's all good. You got this. All right, we'll catch you later, Aussie Autos. Have a good one, dude. Nice to hear. Old school Kiwi. All right. All right. All right. Well then. I'm gonna write it on the Atomic Dog. Thanks for hanging around with me, y'all. Appreciate it. Less issues this week, but still no music fixed for the gram. So I'll try again next week, I guess. I'll fiddle around with it. Or you could just watch on YouTube. It's cooler over there. I've got a background. There's a wide screen, not just this screen. It's just, yeah, it's better. It's betterer. It's improvedness and it's betterer. Cool. Hi, Tyson, and hello, sweet baby May. We're going to bounce, though. I'm going to go and do some other things. But thank you for tuning in. All right. Thank you. Catch us next time. Peace. Whoa, 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 hippie, yo, hippie, yo, whoa, whoa, hippie, yo, hippie, yay. Why must I dig like that? Why must I chase the batch?
Never seen a kitty on a leash. Why I gotta be this way for me? Must be the peace. All I wanna do is run the streets like my OG. Shout out us in double O.